Hi, I'm Carl, and welcome back to Outpost Discovery. Today, we're going to do a little bit of an interview. A friend of mine wants to do an interview based on some group of questions that he has about my age group. Okay, well, there are some changes that have taken place in my life recently that's very applicable to growing older and getting in better health. So, let's see how this turns out. Stick with me and we'll get right to it. Well, as I said earlier, I have a friend who's going to do an interview of me, and this is kind of what would you say, a social study?
It is. It's a study in human growth and development.
Okay, so you're going to see just how retarded I am. No.
Or maybe how normal you are.
Yeah, how hormonal I am. Okay.
Could be.
All right.
Carl, thanks for
a
having
friend of
me on
mine,
the show.
Steve Prince. Steve is a retired Navy guy who's a teacher now, and he's been a great friend for years, and I'm happy to be doing this with him.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to do an interview on Discovery Outpost, Outpost Discovery. That because I know it's this is really kind of not your usual stuff on Outpost Discovery.
No, it isn't.
But at least we picked a nature background.
That's right. We have some trees behind us. Yeah, there's a house back there, but oh well.
So the study is about middle adulthood, which
Yes.
is typically between the ages of 40 and 65.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how old are you right now?
I am 57 years old,
Okay.
or maybe I should say I'm 57 and 11/12.
Wow.
Next month.
So yeah, that's right. You're
I'm
gonna be
almost, I'll be
58
58 next month. Yeah.
Coming up on the birthday.
Yeah.
So right, fantastic. So you and I are pretty much right in that sweet spot in that in our mid to upper 50s.
Yeah.
Definitely well within the range of that middle adulthood. Probably can say we've experienced much of it by now.
Yes.
Let's talk about physical changes that occur in middle adulthood first. There's some research that was done back in 2004 by a researcher named M.E. Lackman. And according to that research, most people experience physical changes in middle adulthood that include things like a deteriorating eyesight, possible loss of hearing, joint pain, and sometimes weight gain. Mm-hmm. Have you experienced any of those changes?
Well, every few years I do have to get my glasses a little stronger. My wife complains about my hearing, but I'm not sure if that's as much selective hearing or she's mumbling. I went to a doctor and had my hearing checked, and he said it was within the normal range.
I know I've experienced at least some degree of hearing loss as well, but probably not a significant degree. Like you, my wife, calls after me, and I don't seem to always hear when she's calling me. But I'm not sure if that's. I certainly am not trying to be selective in that area, but it could be. Who knows? It could be just familiarity. Yeah. Well, and likewise with the eyesight, I know I've had issues as well. How about joint pain? Rheumatoid arthritis?
I had a lot of joint pain before I lost a significant amount of weight, and it was miserable from day to day. If I got down on the ground, I had to have something to help me get up. So, and it was horrible.
Crazy. So, but now you said you lost a significant amount of weight. Before that, did you have a weight gain?
Well, I've always struggled with my weight. I was an overweight kid. I was overweight. I struggled with my weight in the Army. I was an Army engineer. And when I got out of the Army, I still struggled with my weight, and gradually over the years gained weight back. So it has been a lifelong struggle to keep my weight down, and it actually really hasn't happened until recently.
But what happened? So something happened recently then that changed all that.
Yes, recently I found out that our doctors are lying to us. Now, I discovered the ketogenic lifestyle, and I call it a lifestyle because you're this is the way I need to eat for the rest of my life. This is not just a diet. I would suggest anybody who's interested in losing weight, if you're looking at keto and you think that you can, I'll just go on keto and I'll lose 50 pounds and then I'll go back to eating the way I was. Hey, guess what? You're going to go back to the way you were too.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. It's the rest of my life. I have to eat this way.
But I think you like it.
I love it.
Which that's the good news, right?
I can eat a pound
it's a
of
good
bacon
lifestyle change
for breakfast. A pound.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. So this lifestyle change then has produced a significant weight loss in you.
Yes.
During your middle adulthood.
Yes, I have lost 140 pounds.
That's great. That's my wife's weight. You've lost my wife.
Where are you, Chris? And I don't want it back.
Wow.
You can have it. If those of you who are watching this and say, well, I think I found some of that, you can keep it. It's all yours. Free.
Right? Yeah, and I don't want any of it.
Yeah. I don't want
No
it back.
thanks. I'm good. I'm good. Well, good. So is there a history then of medical problems such as cancer, hypertension, diabetes in your family that you're aware of?
My wife, no, not my wife. My mom had ovarian cancer, but she has survived that, and we're very blessed to still have her. My father's side of the family has a history of diabetes and high blood pressure, or what do they call it now?
Is it hypertension?
Hypertension.
Or?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
hypertension.
Mm-hmm.
And a few other issues. So, and I have struggled with that also.
Right, right. So you've had those, or at least some of those.
Yes,
things,
I haven't had the cancer, but I have had the diabetes and the hypertension.
Right.
And the arthritis pain.
Switching gears to cognitive development, which is kind of how we think. That I wanted to just talk a little bit about some studies that have been done. Researchers named Willis and Shea in 1999 did a research. The person I was speaking about earlier, Lackman, in 2004, released a study, and most recently the National Institute of Health in 2007 did a study. All of those studies have indicated that there's some significant cognitive changes that occur to us in mid-adulthood. And that usually those cognitive changes include things like an increase in tacit knowledge, which I didn't know what tacit knowledge was. I'd heard the term, but I didn't really understand what it was, so I had to look it up as part of my research, part of my class here. So, but I guess it could be described as know-how, or maybe some people call it professional instinct.
Yeah.
And it's the ability to kind of do things that you don't really know how you got the skill, but you just know how to do it.
Yes.
Have you experienced that?
Oh, plenty. I am the maintenance blacksmith for Clona Williamsburg Foundation. I work behind the scenes. I like to say I'm Clona Williamsburg's best kept secret. I'm the guy that gets no credit.
Right.
But that's okay. I enjoy my job. But I have a lot of stuff that comes to me that have to be fixed that may be 300 years old and no one's looked at it in 300 years, or at least not in the last 20. I have things that comes to me that maybe from the early 20th century, and man has an interesting way of complicating something that doesn't need to be complicated. And I have looked at some jigsaw puzzles inside of a lock before that did the same thing that a 200-year-old lock does, but has like 70 or 80 parts to it.
Wow.
But
and you just figured these things out?
I just look at it, and I am very thankful for smartphones because I'll take a picture of it before I disassemble it. But I'll look at it. I'll see where the wear is. It's instinctive for me. I'll look at it. I'll see where the wear is. I'll see if I can even tell in some cases if something was put in backwards.
Wow.
Why? I don't know, but I just know. I'm like, oh, well, that's in backwards. Someone went in here and switched this around, and I put it back in the right direction, lube it up a little bit, put it back together, and click, 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 click. It works like a champ.
And as a blacksmith, you use spatial skills a lot too, because you're
lot.
always doing things in 3D.
Right. And I am an artist also, so yes, it's like I have CAD in the brain.
That's cool.
So
how can I get that?
I don't know. God gave it to me, and I'm thankful for it. I don't want to give it up. But yeah, I look at something, and it just. I know you've seen these TV shows where they like to highlight all these calculations or all these designs or all these whatever on the screen. Well, that's what happens up here for me.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. How about your verbal memory, command of vocabulary?
Blah, 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 blah. I have a lot of stuff that comes to me quickly. Sometimes, and other times I blank out. I don't know what to say, or I'm trying to find the right word for it. It's up and down.
That seems to match with the research as well, because the research indicates that although we may have a better verbal memory, we also have kind of a declining working memory. That sometimes it's harder to remember things that we used to just remember easily. Or, you know, like you, I'm searching for that word. Come on, I know the word. What is it? I can't, and it's right there on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember it.
Well, and there are things that I have to do in my job that I find it easier to, when I have to make it, and I don't have to make it for another year or two, to have a book and write it down in the book, so that when it comes time to make it again, I can open the book up, say, oh, there it is. Okay, and I need need this much material. Okay, well, that just made my job go a whole lot easier.
Wow, that's good. That's pretty cool to have that kind of skill, which is helpful. But at the same time, when we encounter those little memory lapses, the other thing too that I find is, and I don't know, maybe you have too. Do you feel like it sometimes takes you longer to process things?
Oh yes. I mull over something. I have to think. Sometimes I have to think about things that I haven't dealt with before, and try to figure it out. And I just kind of let my brain get wrapped around. And sometimes, sometimes I will put a job off a little while, just to let my mind come up with a solution on how to deal with something.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about the changes that occur in relationships in mid-adulthood as well.
Yes.
Relationships are a big part of our lives, and frequently, according to a lot of research, relationships change in middle adulthood. And so can you tell us a little bit about how your relationships have changed, some of those key relationships in your life have changed in your middle adulthood experience?
I have gotten less dependent on other people. I have been through. I'm in my third marriage now, and my first marriage was tumultuous at best, and ended very, 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 very roughly.
Badly. Yeah.
Badly, yes. So, I have, and getting into my next marriage, I jumped into something I shouldn't have jumped into quickly, and I married someone who was very culturally diverse from where I am. And
someone who was not a lot like you.
Not like me at all. And having been out of a marriage and wanting to be in a relationship because I was lonely was the biggest mistake that I made. And after I went through the divorce with her, I took my time. And as much as I didn't want to hear from other people, older people with more experience, I had to learn to be happy by myself. Basically to be happy with myself. There are a lot of people out there who are looking for stuff. And they're looking for stuff in other people. And looking for stuff in other people is not the answer. You need to, there's only two people you need to deal with being happy with. You need to be happy with your relationship with God. You also need to be happy with your relationship with you. And you can't help anybody until you fix yourself.
It's good. That's good information. It's good stuff. So coming off of 2 different divorces, how did that change your social life, your circle of friends?
It did make me more choosy. I've known you for years, Steve, and Steve has been a very good
So you haven't been choosy
example.
enough then?
No, I've been very picky. Steve has had an awesome marriage, and he's been an inspiration to see that it is possible. And my mom is on her 3rd or 4th, see, even I lost count, of a husband, but they've been married now for like 30 years.
Wow, great.
And she was my inspiration that it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, you need to be happy with you before you can be happy with anybody else.
Did you find yourself like on the outside looking in some circles
Oh, definitely.
after divorces?
Oh, definitely. There's that point where you're isolated because you're trying to figure out life. Why did this happen? What's going on? Well, what am I doing wrong? And that was where my relationship with God really made the big difference.
Makes a difference. Yeah, that's huge. That's great. What about your kids?
I would say I'm 75% of my children hating me.
Wow.
Hey,
that's a 25% success rate.
That's right, 25. I am successful in 25%. I have one that does not hate me. She talks to me once in a while. The other 3 just utterly hate me. Some things I have done, I have done for their own good, and other things they have been told that I have done that aren't that I would say were probably embellished. I've heard bits and snippets of what was said, and
Oh boy.
Yeah.
There's
a point where you talking bad about the other person is not going to do any good.
Right.
So just all you can do is just try to be the better person and just be the better person and let it be. It's not going to do any good getting into an argument with someone who has already decided what they want to do.
Now, your children are all young adults now, so you've already
Yes.
launched them out, but some of those launches have not gone well.
No. Some of those ships have had to be towed out of port.
Right. 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 With I don't know what size boot you wear, but right. Well, let's talk about careers for a second,
Okay.
because careers are another thing that often changes in midlife. Oftentimes people in middle adulthood feel like they've reached the pinnacle of their career, but many people also pursue what could be called encore careers. So an encore career, for example, in my case, would be retiring from the Navy, having completed a successful career in the Navy, and then taking on a second job now as a teacher. Tell me about your career satisfaction. How do you feel about your career at this point in your life?
Well, I really enjoy what I do. I'm good at what I do. I pray that I'm able to do it until I'm ready to retire, which is probably another 10 years. But I work with a group, a camping ministry that teaches boys it mentors boys, and it uses camping as a way to get to them, to get through them, and to teach them how to work together. I really enjoy that. I derive a certain amount of satisfaction in sharing my knowledge and the love of Christ with these boys.
And that's what Outpost Discovery is all about.
And that's what Outpost Discovery, yes, exactly. That is what Outpost Discovery is about, is making some videos that teach these boys some things so I know that they have something to go to, that they're not going to hear off-color language, off-color jokes. They're not going to have to deal with that kind of stuff because I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of you guys out there that don't mind using colorful words, but I'm sorry, they don't belong. Children don't need to be listening to that kind of stuff.
In spite of the fact that they're hearing it in school all the time.
Yes, it doesn't matter. You want to be an example. I try not to say words that are unnecessary. And I'm going to be honest, occasionally they come out when I really do something stupid, hurt myself or whatever. I'm not going to say I'm a saint.
Not perfect.
But I do my best, because whatever is in the heart, the mouth speaks.
That's true.
And
that's true.
If you're doing that all the time, then trying not to do it in front of someone that you shouldn't be doing it in front of, is going to be that much harder. So if you make it a habit in your daily life not to do that, it's natural.
Right. Now, you don't get paid to do this. This is your encore career, so to speak, but it's a volunteer thing to do.
Yes, this is my encore career, but this is my gift. I'm not going to be here forever, and I don't know if anyone's going to really care about these videos. But, I guess I have a few people that enjoy watching them. But it's something that I want to do. I enjoy doing it. It's therapeutic for me. And I'm sharing information that I have, because I've noticed other guys, other leaders coming in that don't have the knowledge that I have, and I want to try to share it with them. And I'm not trying to say I'm an expert. I'm not Dave Canterbury, or I'm not some of these other guys that are on YouTube or go around doing the survival training or anything. I'm not any of them, and I don't claim to be. But I do have some knowledge that I want to share, and that's why I do this.
Right. That's fantastic. And the fact that you're content with your career, you love what you're doing as a blacksmith,
Yes.
It is probably all that more rewarding too. Then,
Yes.
because now you can just see, I'm happy at work, and I can also dedicate this time and give my time to other people, which is really amazing stuff.
Exactly.
That's good. So, lifestyle choices. You talked about lifestyle choices that you made, a lifestyle change that you made with your ketogenic diet, and how that's impacted your health. Any advice for anyone else in that arena?
Well, I would say that if you are going to embark on the ketogenic diet, don't treat it as a diet. Treat it as a lifestyle. I have talked to people before who said, "Oh, I need to lose 50 pounds. I need to lose 75 pounds. Can you tell me how to do keto?" And I give them a basic primer. I tell them that if you really want to know if you want to listen to someone who knows what they're talking about, go on YouTube to Dr. Ken D. Berry. He gives that information out for free. I give them some direction, but there's only so much I can say. But then they come back and they say, "Well, at what point can you start eating regular again?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, not.
Yeah.
You can't. This is a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
You are converting your body from burning carbs, like I used to be a carbivore. No, I didn't say carnivore, I said carbivore. I ate anything that had starch or grain or sugar or, I ate it all.
Yeah.
And I ended up 356 pounds. Okay? So, you can use keto to get the weight off, but if you go back to your old way of eating, it's like a dog returning to its vomit, essentially.
Yeah.
So you need to, don't even start it. Don't waste your time. Just accept the fact you're going to die early. I know that's hard and that's mean.
Change. Yeah, that's tough.
But I have a wife who's 10 years younger than me, and I want to live as long as I can to annoy her. So that's okay. Yeah. She wants me to, so she can annoy me.
About you. Right. So talk about, because you made some other changes. Let me just ask this question first. If you had it to do all over again, what lifestyle changes would you make earlier in life?
Well, let's see. Wow. As much as I have said my children hate me, I really do love them. And I wouldn't change having them, being their father, for anything, because it doesn't matter. I do love them very much. But had I known about the ketogenic lifestyle back when I was in the Army in '85, I could have avoided a lot of health issues and maybe been able to retire from the Army and go on to another career like you have.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Now, after you reached age 40, I guess it was some time after that, because it's probably been within the last 6 or 7 years now. So actually, after age 50, probably for you, you found a kayak.
Yes, I did.
And was this kind of a lifestyle change?
It was. Yes, it was. Number one, I'm not a swimmer, and it sounds really crazy for a guy who doesn't swim to want to go kayaking, but I am smart enough to know that that's why you go out with a life vest on. But it was after my second divorce, and I got my clock got cleaned. I decided that I wanted to do a few things differently. I wanted to do stuff. I wanted to kind of live life, and if I died, I didn't care. I know it sounds mean, sounds terrible, but I had allowed fear to interfere with so much of my life. So I decided I'm going to live a little. I'm going to stick my neck out, and I'm going to do a few things that I want to do. So I did.
That's powerful. Powerful. So the lifestyle change really wasn't as much about the kayak as it was about just not allowing fear to run your life anymore.
Exactly. And
because that's not the only change you've made. You've done a lot of things. You've taken up. You've been Rokon.
Oh yes, the Rokon. I wish I had more Rokon riders out here. I'd love to find a place where we could do a Rokon romp. If you don't know what a Rokon is, you can also look at videos on Outpost Discovery. I have some on that. But a Rokon is basically a two-wheel drive off-road motorcycle. It's not fast, but it'll go anywhere. And they are really fun. They are really fun. In fact, I'm working on a video right now. I decided that I wanted to make an archery range at home. And I went out and found one of those great big, huge round bales. Yeah, I found a round bale, and I brought that home on a trailer, and yesterday moved that myself.
That big honking thing?
That big honking by myself.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, I'm not real bright. Moved that, rolled that over on top of a garden trailer, and took it out into the woods where I wanted to set it up. It took me several hours to do this, and yes, I decided I'm going to videotape this mess because someone else can look at what I'm doing wrong or what I'm doing right and say, yeah, he's stupid.
I wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah, I would have done it that way.
I probably would have gotten some help.
Yeah, well, I live out in the sticks,
it's
and
hard. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to get people to come in to help me sometimes. And
right. Gotcha.
Of course, then I got a neighbor with a tractor, and that he was gone anyway. So, yeah.
So, last question.
Yes.
Midlife crisis.
Yes.
Would you say you experienced one?
Well, I would say that was part of it. Was the getting to kayak and doing the things that I was afraid of doing. I didn't exactly have time for a midlife crisis. A lot of people have midlife crisis, and they go out and get a sports car, or they go out and do this and go out and do that, and they spend lots of money. Well, I've spent my life being drained of most of my money by other people. And that wasn't supposed to happen.
Like it was supposed to.
Okay, well,
something went wrong there.
Let's see if we can't fix this and put some tape on it. Make sure I'm right and right side up. Okay.
Hey, all right, we're back.
How's that? Not too bad.
Much better. Yep. Now we got a little
angle that a
adjustment.
little bit. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Maybe too much.
All right.
Technical problems.
Yeah, technical problem. After this technical problem, we will be right back. Okay, so what was that question again, Steve?
So her last question was about midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis. I have to say I really haven't had time for midlife crisis. Not like people who have a lot of money. People who have a lot of money have the time to have a midlife crisis. They have the money to have a midlife crisis. I pretty much, most of my life, have been in survival mode. Trying to do what needed to be done. Trying to do the right thing. Trying to Let me change that just a little bit. There we go. Get us both centered a little bit better. To take care of my family, take care,
put food on the table.
Yeah, put food on the table.
So there's only so much change you can make.
When you're trying to live, trying to survive, trying to pay child support, trying to raise a child who has some difficulties, you really don't have time for midlife crisis. But if you can find things to get out of your own self, out of your self-pity or whatever, to distract you, it's helpful. That's why I picked up. That's why I tried the kayaking. It was something different. It was something new, something I was afraid of. So like I said, I'm not a swimmer, so I thought I'd give that a shot, and I enjoy doing it. I haven't done it for a couple of years because I gained a lot of weight back, and that's where we're now, having gotten the weight back down, I can
yeah. So you're much
start
better.
having fun.
Yeah, much better situation now than you were.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Well, Carl, thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate you having me on Outpost Discovery and allowing me to do this interview for my class. And hopefully it's been informative and entertaining. Yeah. I certainly had fun.
I had fun too. I enjoyed doing it. I'm going to have to get your help on doing some of my Outpost Discovery videos.
I'd love to.
You're an awesome brother in the Lord, and I really enjoyed spending time with you, brother.
It's been my pleasure.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, and let's have some adventures in camping.
Bye now.
Bye.